In order to create your design for your bowl and for your vase, I have a packet handout that you're going to follow the guidelines that are on there. So just a couple of things that I want to talk about though is that you're going to use one or a combination of the elements of line, shape, implied texture, and colors in order to create a random, which is a scattered, or a repeat precise pattern for your project, okay? You're also going to include with that a variety to improve your design. So variety is our principle that we're working with, and then you get to choose which one of the elements that you're going to include. So again, it just has to be one element, or you can choose several, okay? So I'm going to show you a couple of different examples. And first of all, I want to talk about layering your underglazes, okay? So this particular bowl right here was underglazes. They were all underglazes. So what I did first is that I painted the whole entire background of my bowl that really light green color, okay? So the whole thing was colored with that light green. And then what I did is I painted these flowers on top of it. But I still had to use 3 layers of every color in order to get it to layer on top. So if you're gonna layer your colors, you need to understand that it's very, very important that whatever the color is that you choose for the background has to be the lightest color that you choose, okay? And then all of your other designs need to be colors that are darker, okay? So I chose a little dark blue there. So it's layered up. So for this one, I just have this little random scattered pattern that I also put above on the rim of my bowl, and then it's kind of scattered in the background. And then notice that I also repeated that in the center of my flowers, okay? And then I have one more thing here too to make those flowers a little more interesting is that I have a variety of sizes, okay? And then the whole outside of the bowl is just that same blue that I used for those little dots that helped pull the outside of the bowl to the inside design. Now the reason why I didn't take any time to design any little patterns on the outside of my bowl is because this is a fairly shallow bowl, so it would kind of be a waste of time to decorate that with a pattern because the bowl is so shallow. Like when it sits on the table, like I don't hardly see anything on this outside except for maybe about like that, just a little bit of the blue, okay? So again, you can layer your underglaze colors, but you have to start with your lightest color underneath. So if you have a lot of little itty bitty teeny tiny details, I'm going to suggest that you always stick with the underglazes, okay? So next I'm going to show you another bowl, and this one was decorated using glazes only, okay? So again, I layered my glazes. I started with this parchment pink color in the background. So the whole bowl I first painted with that parchment pink. That's my lightest color that I chose for my selection of colors. And then I layered up and I put my neon green and then my other colors over the top. But keep in mind, in order to keep my colors that intense, I still have to do 3 layers of each color to make them be opaque. If I don't get 3 colors, then it's gonna, or 3 layers on there of each color, it's gonna be transparent. So you're gonna see the color that's underneath through it, okay? So then the other thing is I kind of did this little bit of a wavy circles, and I just kind of kept changing up the colors. And then again on this bowl, I just chose one solid color. It's kind of this pretty dark green aqua color, and that's also the color that I used as my little single polka dots on the inside of the bowl. And then I also included it in part of the circle designs too, okay? So again, that outside of the bowl, that color just kind of wraps around onto the inside. And notice I also painted that rim of my bowl to be the same as the outside of my bowl, okay? The other thing that I want you to know, now, okay, I'm gonna back up. To be honest with you, I made this one in 2014, okay? I used to be able to paint really straight lines and be a lot more detail oriented. Okay, I just can't do that anymore. I'm just too shaky. Physically, I'm not able to do that anymore, and I've learned to accept that. So I can't paint things that look like this anymore. I intentionally now paint things with wavy lines and wiggly lines and keeping it a little more random and organic in nature, because I just know that I can't physically do it. And so why beat myself up in trying to make something look a little more precise and perfect? I've just learned to accept the fact, and so I just know that that's my skill level and that's what I need to do, and I still really enjoy painting pottery like this. Okay, so anything that's white on here, that's actually the color of the clay body. Okay, so I just left that white, and then the outside of my bowl I just left black, and that ties in here with part of my design. Okay, and here's another big white bowl. Again, when it sits on the table surface, I don't see a lot of the sides. So I have a tendency anymore like to create patterns that are organic in nature. So I have a tendency to do a lot of animal patterns because they are still very organic. And so this is the white clay body, and I just took the black glaze. And actually all the black on here was underglaze. And so that allowed me to be a little more precise with my design. But it's just a zebra pattern, and then if you look close, you can see the word love in there. And I try to draw a little bit more attention to the word love by plopping that red glazed heart right in the center of the O. And then I also repeated that little bit of red here and there, scattered about in little red dots throughout the bowl. Okay. And then we have this cute little guy. I did not paint this one. This was decorated by a student. Again, that's just the white clay body on the inside of the bowl. And then we've got this cute little hedgehog inside there, and his quills on his body there, and all these little pretty speckled colors. Those were all still glazes. And then she also repeated those colors on this cute little polka dot rim up here. And the outside of the bowl is actually the same color as the hedgehog's body. Okay, so that's how she tied it all together. And the other thing that I want you to understand is that when you are using glazes and glazes only, when you overlap your glazes, so for this one I painted the whole inside of my bowl that neon green, and then I came back after it was dried and I painted my black layer of three layers of the black on top of that. You can't see it in the video, but if you were to look at it in person, when that glaze melts in the kiln, the colors kind of merge and blend into each other, and it kind of creates this soft edge instead of a nice crisp edge that I was able to get with the underglazes. Okay, so just know this is going to give you a softer edge and kind of bleed out, so to speak. So that's how I did the inside there. Now, again, it was the light color that I painted down, and the darker color went over the top. So when I did the outside of the bowl, I wanted it to be opposite. So I'll show you my little sketch here. Because on your handout, you're also supposed to draw this profile view of your bowl. Okay. So if you notice in the video here, this does not look like this. It's because I've not fired it again. Okay. So this has actually gone through the first bisque fire, and then I've put it through a glaze firing because I needed that neon green to have that white clay body underneath it. Okay. So I painted those cow spots on there. And then I also painted this, and I fired it in a glaze firing. Now what I've had to do is I'm painting that black over the top, and I can just paint right over the top of that green. And then if I get a little bit on top of there and it dries, I can just scratch it off. Or what I've been doing is taking a wet sponge. I still need to come back through and clean this off. Okay. But it's going to save you a lot of time. If it's a matter of wanting a lot of the dark same color around on there. So if this doesn't make sense and that is interest to you on how to do something like that in layering your colors, please ask and I'll explain it further to you in person. Okay, so again, this has to go back through the kiln so that my black becomes the glossy, shiny glaze like what it is. All right, so the other thing that I want you guys to do too, you don't have to color them out if you don't want to. That just is a nice visual for me so I can kind of see how it's going to work. I also jotted down off to the side on my handout, like, okay, so my handout says that I have to include variety, and so then I used a variety of shapes and sizes of dairy cow spots. And then I also used a variety of colors. So make sure you have 2 colors on there, and so I did. And then I used a random pattern. And so then on the back side here. So make sure you also use your handout here as your selection of your colors and get those written down, okay? And then for your, gotta do some shuffling around here. For your vase, you'll also have in your packet the rules that I want you to follow in decorating. And this time you need to have a minimum of 3 colors, okay? And so here's just a fun one. Again, it kind of has reference to the zebra pattern, but I just did it in these wild whimsical colors, and why not? And I also like the fact that I pulled that color from the outside of the vase up to the inside. So another one, here's just a whole bunch of different colors that I painted on there, leaving some of the white of the clay body. And on the rim, I left the white and I put the little bit of yellow polka dots like I did right through here. You might not be able to see those in the video. And then the inside is just all solid black. So this happened to be all underglaze colors that I used on this one. And that'll do it. So once you get your ideas figured out, please discuss them with me, and then I will kind of sign off on your design ideas, and then you can just start decorating those. And I'm very excited to see what you guys come up with.